Alrighty, so we're going to talk about detox, and the word detox is commonly used. It's just thrown around these days, and sometimes that'll be for something like a 3-day juice cleanse or something to sell weight loss supplements, and that's not what detox is truly about. Okay, detoxing is important to keep your body strong, and the things we'll be talking about today, it's used as a preventative measure to reduce the body's toxic load. Okay, in fact, we wouldn't exist without our natural detoxification systems. And the truth is we're actually detoxing all day, every day, whether you're aware of it or not. And so I like to highlight the differences between what detox is and what drainage is. And so I think it's really important to start out with some definitions. And so detoxification is the actual removal of waste products. That's part of our normal processes and normal metabolism. That also includes toxic substances, and it's mainly carried out by the liver. Detoxing consists of clearing like unwanted bacteria. So some of us who are in parasite protocols, viruses, heavy metals, molds, yeast, things like candida, and anything else that's going to hinder the body performing at its best. So I like to say detoxification is the what. Okay, it's that removal of all the toxins, and drainage is the how. So when we actually talk about the modalities we're going to use, we're talking about stimulating drainage, and drainage is the body's internal cleansing mechanism. So if you were to think of actual drains in your home, right, just like you would have a clogged drain in your sink, right, we need something that's going to help plunge it out, right? If you have something that's clogged, a sink that's clogged, you try to run some water, the water's not going to go through as efficiently. Okay, the same thing happens in your body. You can have an inefficient or sluggish detoxification system, and that's how we can have more toxic buildup and potential issues. Processes that the liver goes through specifically to neutralize toxins and help stimulate drainage. But I did want to bring up other organs of detox, okay? Liver's not the only one that does it. We have our kidneys, which are really helpful to filter out waste products from the blood, and usually comes out in our urine, okay? That's why adequate hydration, drinking a lot of water, is crucial for supporting your kidneys and facilitating toxic removal. All right, you also have your lungs, and believe it or not, as you are sitting here breathing, that oxygen exchange that's occurring is helping play a role in detoxification by expelling what are called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, through our respiration. So just like existing, you are detoxing, okay? Then we also have lymphatic flow. Okay, we've talked a little bit about lymphatic flow here and there, but you have this whole system in your body that is a network of vessels, nodes that removes toxins and waste products from your tissues. And they carry those toxins to your lymph nodes. So if you've ever had, when you get sick and maybe as a kid, you had swollen lymph nodes, okay, maybe your lymph nodes in the neck were a little bit swollen. All right, that was your body trying to shuttle maybe parts of the infection into those lymph nodes and get them out to be detoxified and eliminated. Your colon is actually helpful as well for detoxification. It dehydrates your stool, and some of those toxins get absorbed into different circulations. And then your skin. Your skin is actually your largest detox organ. It is everywhere. And so when we are excreting and eliminating, we want to make sure that we can sweat and do it through our skin. So why do we even care about detoxing if your body is already detoxing, right? Well, for most of us here, if your body's fighting off a chronic illness, okay, then its drainage and elimination systems are probably not highly functioning, okay? And that can be for several reasons. It could be from toxic overload. It could be from the fact that we don't have a lot of energy. And so the body's shuttling energy away from toxin elimination and more just to be able to function and stay alive. And so when we're in our programs, it requires a little bit of extra care to overcome this toxic burden, okay? Anybody ever had a little too much alcohol? So when you had a little too much to drink, your body creates a hangover, okay? And that is to relieve your body of the toxins that are poured into it from the night before, okay? So we have other systems to do this, and it's not just with alcohol, okay? Your body could become inundated with things like parasites, things like heavy metals, molds. These are, by the way, these are test results of clients I have had. in the past with some of this bacterial overload or viruses. And the liver has a lot more work to do. Okay, especially those in our Total Transformation 101, we're testing for some of these things based on your symptoms. And so every drug and hormone and pesticide and chemical is going to be metabolized by your liver. So if you have too much of a toxic burden in the body, then the liver is going to start to have trouble functioning. Now, you can either have too much of a toxic burden, or if we think back to our sink analogy, you have too much water trying to go through the sink, or you could have a clogged up drain. Okay, so we need to make sure both are functioning. We have a good drain, all right, and we don't have too much water. And some of the feelings that we can get when we have poor drainage or poor detoxification, you start to feel this when you're waking up in the middle of the night sweating. Okay, that tends to be a really common symptom of toxic overload. So I do want to point out a few common symptoms of detox issues. Okay. You can drop in the chat if any of these have shown up for you. Don't want this to be fear-based, but just know that there are other people that are supporting you here. Things like acne, all right? Like I said, our skin is our largest detox organ. And so if we're having trouble with detoxification, it can show up on the skin. Okay, gas and bloating, diarrhea, constipation, any issues with elimination in the stool is huge. Dark circles or bags under your eyes. This is a sign of liver burden as well. Hives and rashes and poor skin tone, back to the skin as well. IBS, very blanket symptom or very blanket diagnoses for issues that are usually coming from the liver. Leaky gut is the same thing, but it's actually typically toxins that are going through the gut and being tagged in the immune system as an issue. And so the immune system starts to fight back. And again, toxins are usually coming through via food or water or air that we breathe. Nightmare, insomnia, and then weight gain. That's another one too. Again, just creating awareness around what's going on. You're not crazy for feeling the way you're feeling. There's always an answer, and incorporating some of the things we're going to talk about today are going to be really important, really, really important. I do want to highlight the last portion here about weight gain. I feel sometimes that we get so mad at our bodies for holding on to excess fat, and when in reality, we don't realize it's actually protecting us. Okay, so let me explain this here. A study here just to cite for you that many toxic chemicals are actually fat soluble. Okay, what that means is that instead of the chemicals that we're ingesting dissolving in water, they actually dissolve in fatty solutions. And so when chemicals enter the body, and it can be through food or water, air, anything, right? It's on, it's a part of life. We can't really avoid that. But if we have too much of them, okay, they're going to cling to fat tissues and cell membranes, making them extremely difficult to excrete naturally. So these toxins can be stored in the body for decades, okay? And the body has a hard time wanting to let them go if we have a huge storage of them. So think about this. If you have you've worked in an area where there's a lot of radiation, okay, we're getting a lot of chemicals in the body, we might start to experience weight loss resistance because the body is intaking toxins every single day, and it knows if it releases those things, then you're going to experience harsh symptoms like dizziness and headaches and nausea and rashes and joint pain. So like, how nice of it is your body to ensure that you don't feel those negative impacts? Okay, so sometimes we get so upset at our body holding on to excess weight, we don't realize it may be a protective mechanism. Okay, so that's why it's so important that you're here, that you're working with a practitioner to make sure that your drainage pathways are functioning first before you just try to rip in a detox, because it can be extremely uncomfortable. I'll get into it. I have 6 that I want to highlight for you, and I will preface that you don't need to go out and go buy anything after this call. All right, these are just tools to consider if you have access to them, or just to learn more about, because a lot of the times we get questions like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Well, I'm going to tell you. So let's start with the first one, which is infrared saunas. Okay, so infrared saunas, there's specific type of sauna. Okay, they're going to work by heating your physical body from the inside out. And in very plain terms, regular saunas, they're going to warm you up by heating the air around you. But infrared saunas warm you directly without needing the air to do its job. So if you were to think of like when you have a fever, our body naturally heats to fight off an infection. And so infrared saunas work very similarly to raise your core temperature to help eradicate things like infections and stimulate lymphatic flow. So infrared saunas are great for relieving chronic pain. Okay, there's a lot of evidence that it helps with chronic fatigue. A lot of people here can benefit. Fibromyalgia, I've worked with a few people with fibromyalgia, and depression because there's actually an increase in serotonin that occurs. And there's also studies. Now, granted, these were done on participants with type 2 diabetes, so it doesn't really relate to anybody here, but they observed with infrared sauna use that there was actually a reduction in cortisol and a reduction in blood glucose levels, which are important for our terms as well. So I do recommend going to an actual sauna or getting one in home. Like the TheraSage portable sauna is pretty affordable. People really like Sunlighten as well. Honestly, there's some awesome Amazon brands that are pretty good too. So I would start anywhere from like 2 to 3 times a week for 20 minutes and just see how you tolerate until you work up a sweat. That's the most important part. Is not only are we heating the body's tissues, but that we are able to work up a sweat. Regular sauna will be beneficial for the sweating component, but the actual stimulation of the heat from the inside and that almost like infection fight response will not be the same. I have had clients utilize infrared sauna blankets. Now, I'm very hesitant to give that recommendation. It's worked for some, but just be careful because of the nature of a blanket. You can burn your skin, so it's something to look into. But I've had clients use them in the past and really like them because they're affordable, they're portable, and they do the job. Next one's going to be red light. Let's get into it. Red light therapy is typically used in the biohacking space to use therapeutic red light to penetrate the skin. And so this light does produce a biochemical effect which strengthens your cells, mitochondria, which is the part of your cell that energy is created and stored. And so by increasing the function of mitochondria, it can create more of the ATP, which is your energy currency, and that's what keeps your cells nice and healthy. And so red light has been really beneficial in obviously detoxification, but also brain damage. A lot of you know that I was in a car accident that was pretty significant about 6 months ago, and red light therapy has helped me quite a bit. It's been helpful with depression, muscle recovery, skin repair. You'll see people using it for anti-aging effects, hair loss, and inflammation. So some popular brands are like Mito. Huga is another one I've heard of that's a little more affordable if you want like just like a light to prop up on your desk. And I'd start with just like 4 times a week for 10 minutes so you tolerate it. And then if you're somebody that can use it daily, phenomenal. But yeah, again, you don't need to go purchase something super expensive. So even if you don't have access to red light or you don't want to purchase something, we already know that blue light is some of the things that are being emitted from our electronics. We know that blue light causes mitochondrial damage. So red light's going to help stimulate mitochondrial energy and help repair. Blue light is going to damage it. So we know that blue light causes cellular dysfunction, it damages our DNA and contributes to aging, and we are on screens constantly. So all the things that we already talk about, like reducing blue light at nighttime or wearing your blue light blockers or getting sunshine early in the morning, right, can help mitigate some of these effects already, right? Red light is super important to incorporate because we have so much blue light exposure. So in just eliminating some blue light in your life, you're going to receive some of these benefits of red light. Move on to the next modality. Castor oil. You guys, I love castor oil packs. And the reason being is it is one of the most ancient detoxing therapies that we have. They've been used since like 400 BCE, right, guys? Ancient. These packs are made by soaking like a cotton or flannel cloth in cold pressed castor oil. And then typically for purposes of detoxification, you're going to apply it to the upper right quadrant of your body. So right by your right rib cage where the liver resides. They do make packs for other portions of the body, but the purpose of a wrap is the compression alongside of your breath. Okay, you're breathing, you wrap the pack around, and that's going to help create lymphatic movement. So even if you don't have a pack, you can use like old sweats if you really wanted. On top of that, some people will add a heating pack if you want. But then the actual oil itself, the castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, which stimulates lymphatic flow, and that's what helps reduce the inflammation. Okay, the omega-9 fatty acid has been heavily studied, and that's what helps with inflammatory properties, and it helps penetrate through the skin. It also is nice because it'll hydrate your intestines, and it does help with reducing constipation. Typically, if you are struggling with constipation, use castor oil, you will have a bowel movement within like 6 hours. So it's a great practice to utilize for things like menstrual cramps or symptoms of PCOS because of its impacts on estrogen dominance. I already mentioned it's helpful for reducing constipation, and it has been shown to reduce anxiety. Now, we have talked about pregnancy. I would not recommend it in pregnancy, especially later term, because it does have labor-inducing properties. So if you are going to use it, I do recommend using a very high quality oil. They're always going to be in glass bottles. They're going to be organic, and you want them hexane free. I do recommend using it at least 4 consecutive days during the week for an hour. You could use it as long as the entire night if you fall asleep in it, but at least 4 days a week to see a benefit. Coffee enemas, let's do it. Let's do it. This is not a traditional way to take in your coffee. And I know that. And I love this topic because coffee enemas are a tool that are so powerful for those recovering from chronic illnesses, people who need support with blood circulation, even as much as like cancer. What it does is they improve your bowel flow and help eliminate toxins and parasites and even things like candida. And coffee enemas stimulate the liver and gallbladder to increase the bile flow, which is going to help aid in the liver's detox efforts. And it also increases glutathione, which dilates the bile ducts, and it's going to cause excretion of the bile. And it's also the master antioxidant, which will reduce oxidative stress. Some people will even add supplements directly into their coffee enema bucket. I'm not recommending anybody a blanket protocol for coffee enemas. You have to be working with a skilled practitioner who understands that as powerful as this practice is, it can cause a potential hormone or electrolyte imbalance and adverse detox reactions if not done properly. So reach out to me directly if you're curious about them. But if we have not tested your minerals, or if we have not tested your sex hormones, the answer is going to be no. Alrighty, moving along. I've got Epsom salt baths here. They're a great way to detox because they're awesome if somebody is particularly sensitive to other detoxification methods. And so you can, slowly titrate up how much Epsom salt you're using. If the bath water is warm enough, you could kind of create like a sauna type effect. And Epsom salt has magnesium sulfate. Okay, it is magnesium sulfate, and it helps relieve like muscle pain and headaches and improve lymphatic flow. And so if you're somebody who's really sensitive to particular forms of detox, or if you're nervous about some of these other modalities, it's great as an intro. You can even just start with Epsom salt baths at your feet. Doing that 3 times a week for 15 minutes, and then eventually working up to the full body. The photo I have linked here is from Primally Pure. I love them as a company, pretty clean ingredients, and this one smells good. So if you're looking for a particular type, I'd recommend this one. Last modality I'll discuss is PEMF. So PEMF stands for pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and very basics is that it works by sending electromagnetic pulses through your body, which does penetrate the tissues, and those stimulate currents in your cells to promote circulation and encourage healing processes. So just as our liver is trying to move things through with bile flow or helping with elimination in our stool, we want to make sure our cells are clean too. And it's been shown to help reduce stress, improve deep sleep, help energy, reduce pain and inflammation. And I use the higher dose mat specifically. I like that it has this negative ion feature, which will help neutralize free radicals. And so you definitely don't have to add this into your routine, but it's more at the cellular level. If you do want to help with detoxification within the cells itself, you can start with just twice a week at 30 minutes. It is really powerful. And this particular mat also has a grounding-like effect. Kind of feels like there's little rocks underneath when you lay on it. And then I like higher dose specifically also because they have a heat setting. So you're kind of getting the infrared exposure as well. So we talk a lot about these modalities and some of them are great for adding to your home, biohacking type stuff. A lot of them are inexpensive. A lot of them can be expensive. And so I just want to remind you, like, to strengthen your body's detox systems, like, you don't have to use the therapies that we just talked about. You can do it through small things that we do discuss. So things like dry brushing are really great to help lymphatic flow, movement, okay, exercise. Some people do like dance or bounding. If you ever see those trampolines that people are bouncing on, like, that's all that is. It's just encouraging lymphatic flow. I just had a client purchase a trampoline for her home, like, release your inner child, which is super nice. Go back to the basics, right? Limit alcohol use. We're already doing that anyways if you're in this container, but think about the things that you are intaking in your environment. Like, is there drug use? Is there medication use that, isn't necessary? All of that has to be processed by your liver. Staying hydrated. We talked about the role of the kidneys and making sure that they can help excrete certain toxins through our urine. Eating clean foods, right? Organic and whole foods when you can. I provided you with the resources for the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 early on so that you can determine, like, what should I prioritize in spending money being organic to reduce the toxic load in my body, and what can I get away with not necessarily needing to spend so much money on. And sleep. Like, if we're not sleeping, all these systems aren't going to be functioning in a good manner. And so making sure that we are getting high quality sleep as well. Alrighty, well, just remember, okay, our body's already working around the clock. You've been sitting here with me for 45 minutes and you have been detoxing the entire time. Okay, don't forget that. Give them some credit. All right. All of these things are just to help keep detoxification working optimally. And if we're in some of these conditions or we're in a healing phase, like, we probably could use a little bit of extra support. So stay away from the restrictive stuff, those, 7-day juice cleanses. I never want to hear about a juice cleanse in this container, please. Focus on your nutrition, focus on the lifestyle practices, focus on things that are going to upregulate detox daily. You have so many tools available to you. That's what I really wanted to present here, was that there's so many ways that you can help influence detox that you don't need to go buy the next biohacking thing, or you can, right? It can be really helpful if that's the best way to support and care for yourself.